So we're back on the Capson, and I wanted to say sorry for finishing off the video, the last video, so abruptly. I have a few problems, issues with my battery. I really have anticipated that, but then again, well, I will try to go as fast as possible because this seems to never end. So I will try to give you short explanations about the technical issues, but so on. Okay, then again, I was talking about the hobby photography in those years in the back in the day, the 1850s, 1860s, mostly when we started to see the use of photography of those of the elite people who were enthusiasts and probably not masters of photography, the people who participate in that phenomenon, which was the early years of glorious days of photography, as I stated before. Yeah, and I think what I was trying to head into, go into, was a statement that Susan Sontag uh, expressed. This is really a quite interesting one. As I was mentioned, we started to see photography in that regard as we talk about exploration. Uh, then we started to see in those years in which I think from the alley try to go in as many directions as possible, just try to portray or capture something. Um, we almost can intuitively think what it was for those people who venture to go to those topics, to those areas, to those places in which they could get just a still that will convey them this status. I will dare to say so, just for being enthusiast of photography. Susan Texas starts explaining so in this that it is almost like we're starting to see photography as a rite of passage. I don't know if that's the right word to say it. I think a rite of passage. But yeah, because it's almost like we started to notice the device that it is the camera conveyed sort of power and well, we will say rite of passage among those people from the elite, from this that social class. It was the high class. We started to make the pictures in this way as celebration of these individuals' achievements and um, yeah, pretty much the primary use of photography as a popular one. Just try to portray what it was a celebration for whatever reason uh, in those people in that social class. So so from that there we could say that during a century, probably less than a century, uh, like social photography was almost like a prescription that you needed to fill into uh, in regard to be just part of the phenomenon in the social class. So we started to see photography in weddings and social events and so on. And we could say that it's not far from the truth to portray, not pun intended, cameras as part of the family life. We could say so. So we started to see that in homes and in other places, there has to be a camera. There has to be a camera because that conveys a sense of social status. So in a way, what Susan Sontag mentions here is this need of photography in those early years, and I could venture to say that even still, having a camera was and it still is to some extent, uh, because nowadays I think I would like to talk about cameras in the respect that we don't even notice we have cell phones and other devices, so we almost see this rite of passage of portrayed. Uh, I think she stated this when it comes to families, families who had children and so on. It was almost like a need to record those events in a picture. So it was almost then again a rite of passage uh, among those people, and nowadays even because if it is not, it is almost like indifference uh, from the family, from the parents to celebrate uh, just the graduation of somebody or academical achievement of son of a daughter, and it is quite interesting because then again she talks about that, and it's almost funny to me how to in one line she even starts to draw the idea of a teenager not wanting to pose for a photo, and that in that regard, I think that little detail, uh, I think, talks to me about the idea of rebellion and just to see the machine, the camera, still as an intruder. But then again, this is the social etiquette when we talk about those years among the high class to even celebrate being portrayed in a family event or social event, because that's the power that is yeah, conveyed to the camera in those regards. So pretty interesting that idea, because so we see through photos that each family starts to almost build a sequence, like a family sequence or a story sequence of themselves, of oneself. That is really interesting. I try to make a draft on this idea that was social media and shelves, how we use photography nowadays as almost brand ourselves as individuals. So millennials, people that in this regard uh, participate in the event of, well, uh, just register the daily life. Um, whatever the trivial is the situation, the story, what I wanted, what people try to convey. It is something that socially it is really well seen. So in that regard, I think it's quite uh, important to touch on that idea a little bit, because we started to see photography as in both ways, the product, the photos, as this bolt of portable stills, uh, which give a testimony of family relationships and those bonds we have with someone or for something. So it's really interesting because yeah, it is almost like we started to see then what the camera could achieve in those regards. So we started to appreciate that documentary kind of purpose that it is socially well accepted to just to think to try to incorporate of life in the idea of just taking photographs and so on. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Just starting from there.